Thanks for dropping by again today. So, big topics to talk about today. We're going to talk about DLBCL, which is diffuse large cell or large B cell lymphoma, and indolent lymphoma, because I actually started with indolent and mine grew aggressively into DLBCL. You might have a different type of lymphoma altogether, but maybe we have some similarities because we're going to discuss today RCHOP. RCHOP is the chemotherapy drugs that I'm currently on, and I decided to take a step back for a little bit to get used to the idea that I'm in chemotherapy or having chemotherapy, and also to be able to share with you some of the ups and downs that I'm personally going through. I do have to say, though, that everybody's different right off the bat. So just because I have certain symptoms, you might not have any of them. Hair loss, obviously, is one of the big ones, and you're pretty much guaranteed that you're going to lose some hair. All of it, I have no idea. I know for myself, my head started off getting a little bit itchy and a little bit feeling like I constantly had bedhead, which is that feeling that you've pressed your hair too long into the pillows. And I thought after my first infusion of RCHOP, well, maybe things aren't going to be as bad as all of that. So 18 days later, well, actually, I'm sorry, not 18 days, it was 16 days to the day that I reached behind my head for some reason. I guess I was a bit itchy or something, and a whole clump of hair came with the itch. So after that, I went up, had a shower. My face was full of hair. It was falling out everywhere. Luckily, I put a drain in the bathtub to see what was going to happen. And of course, the drain was full of hair when I finished my shower. So it was like, okay, this is enough. I booked an appointment with our local barber, and I said, take it all off, because I wasn't going to end up having to wear these chemo caps every single night just to catch or be full of hair and have hair in my face and my food. It's just not pleasant. I know for you ladies out there, it's a really, really hard thing to have to do. I found it tough. I got a little bit choked up, but I didn't obviously lose it like I could have. However, as I've said in my previous videos with you, I lost my sister to cancer, and she had to have her head shaved bald. And as she said, there were a lot of tears. It was very emotional for her. I found the only thing that really made me feel, I guess, like I was controlling the narrative was when I decided to post pictures the same bloody day I had my hair shaved off. I didn't care. I just thought, you know what? My friends are all going to eventually know I have no hair, and I'm going to be talking to people out in the great outdoors that can visually see I have no hair, that know me from before. So I thought, you know what, to hell with it. I'm just going to show everybody right off the bat. So I took 3 photos. I took one completely bald, nothing on my head whatsoever. I took one with my chemo cap here on. And by the way, these things are extremely handy. If you're not used to having bed head, or if you're not used to being bald, and if you live in a cooler climate like I do, it really helps to sort of make you feel like you're not missing something too much. And good old Amazon, as we all know, has everything from soup to nuts. So 2 chemo caps, and they're bamboo, and I wash them every couple of days. I have 4 of them just to switch around different colors. And for you ladies, they have them in pinks and reds, and well, even for you guys, doesn't matter. Wear whatever you want to wear. And I also decided that I was going to rely on my trusty old newspaper boy caps, which I think are really cool. And I have a lot of those. I've had about 4 or 5 of them anyway to start with, so they look really cool. And I wear those when I'm not wearing my chemo caps. So that's that part. Now, getting back to starting chemotherapy. Well, it is a big to-do. And if you're in chemo right now, then you have your own stories to tell, and you can certainly share them with us below. Leave comments, let me know how it's going for you. I'm only just approaching the halfway mark this coming Wednesday. So that'll be my third infusion out of a total of 6. So if you haven't had chemo yet and you're just going to get into having RCHOP, let me tell you, don't get yourself too worked up about it. And I say that tongue in cheek because we all know we're all going to get hung up on things like that. It doesn't matter. You're going to worry about it and you're going to be concerned about it because you're going to probably do a lot of reading about it. And if you don't, I would suggest you do. Get on to Gemini or Chat GPT and ask the question, what is it like to have RCHOP, or what does RCHOP do for me? Some people call it CHOP plus R. In fact, my oncologist calls it CHOP plus R. But usually when I'm looking it up or I see other people using the terminology, it's usually just RCHOP. So the first thing you're going to want to do, I guess, is make sure you're educated and you've educated yourself on what the side effects could be, and go in with an open mind is all I'm saying. Don't go in closed that, oh, I'm going to be deathly ill, I'm going to be unfortunately puking my guts out, and it's going to be just miserable. For some people, it is just miserable, so I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I got away so light on it, and when I say got away so light on it, they give you, or at least our clinic gives you almost an 8.5 hour window to have your very first infusion done. After that, once you've gotten through it, the next infusion, 21 days later, drops down to like 2 hours or an hour and a half. Why so long? That's the big thing. Well, Rituxiban, which is the R in RCHOP, it's called Rituxiban, is a drug they're going to introduce to you slowly, very slowly. In fact, they use, I think my medical team said about 1,000 mils of liquid with the Rituxiban. I'm not sure exactly what the dose is on it, but again, feel free to look it up on your own. Anyway, they start you off at 50 mils, and then after an hour, if that goes well, or a half an hour, I guess, if that goes well, they increase it by 50 mils, so you're at 100, and then they do that every half hour until you can take a full 400 mils at a time. And the reason they're doing that is because they don't want you to be sick or dizzy or pass out or anything else, and they monitor you so closely. So you're not alone, you're not hanging there on a bed by yourself. I mean, obviously, if you have a friend or your spouse or your other significant other goes with you, that's really important because it's nice to have the moral support, and it's nice that they're there to give you that confidence boost. I know I really appreciate my wife coming with me to my appointments, but we'll get back to that in a minute because my third appointment coming up, I'm going to be on my own. And luckily, I don't need to have anybody with me because I am able to drive because they're not giving me a dose of sleepy type um, medication. So I'm fortunate in that sense. But again, it's nice to have a friend or family who can go with you. Anybody. It's just that, again, moral support's really, really big. So let's get back to RCHOP. So after you've had your Rituximab infusion, you've gotten that under your belt. It's probably going to be lunchtime by this time because I was there at like 8 o'clock in the morning to start mine off. And then they're going to start introducing the other four drugs. Prednisone is the last one in the RCHOP, and Prednisone, if you've never had it before, is what I want to call it a feel-good drug because it gives you a false sense that you're okay and you feel okay. And I say false sense because your prednisone actually goes on 5 days into your treatment. So after you've had the other 3 infusions, which is all done intravenously, by the way, and they're all done single, one at a time, they'll explain each drug to you very carefully. I'm not going to do that here because, again, this will make this video way too long and it is complex. And again, you might have different symptoms than I had, so things might work differently for you. I'm not sure. But I know you'll get every single drug in the RCHOP regime because that's what you need to do. So After you've had your infusions and they tell you what you could anticipate for side effects, I again was very fortunate. I had very few. And getting prednisone after you've had your 5 days with it, expect a bit of a crash. And when I say crash, it means like, wow, sudden exhaustion. It's almost like somebody turns the tap of exhaustion on after you've finished your prednisone. What else happened? Well, I ended up getting a lot of stomach cramps. I really didn't enjoy that part of it. I didn't have the nausea that a lot of people do experience and have, although I was well equipped with anti-nausea medication. And when you, or before you go, or when you go for your first infusion, they'll give you anti-nausea medication. Then they also want you to take anti-nausea medication on your own for several days afterwards. And they gave me several different types so that my system could adapt. I, again, was very lucky. I didn't have to take any of the medications that they gave me. Constipation, yes, I know it's a big one, and not everybody wants to talk about it, but it's either you're going to have it either way. You're either going to have diarrhea or you're going to have constipation, one of the two. And for me, it was a mix of both. I ended up needing to go, so I took some of the meds that were prescribed for me, and I went, and then I went, and then anyway, we don't need to carry on with that. I had to stop it. So luckily I just got off the shelf Imodium, which is an anti-diarrhea medication, and that settled things down. After that, you sort of figure out yourself, and your team will be extremely helpful. You'll be able to ask them anything you want to ask them. At least that's what ours is like, and they encourage you, call the office. If you have a problem, call the office. The other big thing is, of course, fevers. If you have a fever, that's extraordinarily dangerous, and you have to race off to emergency, again, if you're being advised to do that. I, lucky, again, no fever. I was just fine. I didn't have any issues whatsoever, and I sort of thank the Lord that I didn't have those issues. But everyone's different again, so don't take my word for it. If it happens that you get off lightly like I did, then you've got cramps, you've got bowel issues a little bit. I felt like I was constantly full because my wife kept saying, "Well, are you sick? Are you sick?" And I'm saying, "Well, I'm not sick. I'm just not hungry." And that was a big thing. I didn't have much of an appetite for the first probably 3 or 4 days. I did lose 10 wonderful pounds, thank goodness, because as you can see, I'm not exactly lightweight. I could afford to lose it. And that was the other thing that was brought up, is that RCHOP can often um, be less severe if you're a little bit heavier. That's what I was told. I don't know if that's just an old wives' tale or not, but I'm throwing it out there because, again, I got off pretty easily. At least that's what I think anyway. So what happens now? What's the next thing? So that was infusion day number 1. I think I've covered my bases with you on that. I know it's long and complex, but you might as well hear it and see if you can digest it, and maybe it'll give you a little bit of a sense of relief that it isn't really necessarily going to make you that sick. Let's hope. Infusion number 2. Wow, it went easy. So the Rituxaban is actually given by needle in your belly fat, and it's it takes about 5 minutes. They don't just jab a big needle in you and shove it all in one shot. They go in very slowly. And cautionary tales were you could end up having a rash all around your stomach area, or where the site was. It could be hot. It could be uncomfortable. Well, again, light and easy. I didn't have anything other than a puncture needle mark, and that went away on its own after a very short time. So super easy, really happy with that result. Again, I pray that you're not going to have any bad results with it for you. And then the onslaught of the other 3 infusion drugs that they give you. One of them, by the way, is red. And I should go back and tell you about that, because that's the nasty one. That's the one that gives you the hair loss. That's the one that I've even seen it in print called the Red Devil, because it's the one that's going to really be more obnoxious than most of the other ones. Again, you've probably already read this or you're going to be reading about it. So be aware that's the one that's going to be a bit of a headache for you. I just threw that in for a little bit of explanation, I guess we'll call it. So second infusion, it was fine. I ended up getting out of there like within an hour and a half, which was like record time. And it was awesome. I really felt, oh, this is great. So the day of, don't expect to be chipper on either your first infusion, second infusion, and I will let you know how the third one goes as well, and on. So we might as well travel this trip, take it down every single road that it's going to go down. My experiences might be the same as yours. Your experiences might be completely different. And again, leave some comments, let me know. So expect day one not to be wonderful. I slept a lot. I was pretty tired, even though, as I said previously, prednisone gives you a false sense of feeling great. You still have that, I'm pretty tired. And you feel like you're being kicked down a bit, I guess, is probably the only way I could say it. So you're kicked down. Day two, the cramping came back, sadly, and it wasn't pleasant. And sometimes I wasn't sleeping well at night. It was just causing overall nasty feelings. And again, you don't go on a hunger strike, but you're not really eating, I guess, the way you normally would eat. The thing I should have said earlier is eat small, tiny meals if you want to get through this easily. And I know everybody's going to harp on you about it anyway. I'm sure the nurses have told you, your oncologist probably told you, or you've read about it. But that's the easiest way to get around all of this. Eat something small, and whatever you do, spoil yourself. Like have some ice cream, have whatever you want, jujubes, whatever your particular passion is. Have a chocolate bar. It doesn't really matter. You can enjoy a chocolate bar just as much as the next person. Anyways, anything that's small and easy to digest, I found helpful. So sometimes it was a cinnamon bun. Other times it was a blueberry pancake, and that just filled me right up. But it was really easy on my digestive system. I found that I really enjoyed it. It's something I love. Slather it with maple syrup for sure, because who wants pancakes without maple syrup? I know you probably do, but that's okay. I don't use butter, and a lot of people just love butter and maple syrup. It's your choice. But again, treat yourself. Don't don't feel like, oh, I have to keep this regime going, or oh, I got to watch my carb intake. You got cancer. You're doing chemotherapy. Don't make it worse than it needs to be. In fact, do the opposite. Treat yourself really well because you deserve it. You're fighting this battle. You've got support, hopefully. People are listening to how you're feeling, hopefully. And if not, then look for support groups. I really enjoy mylymphoma.team.com. Make sure you sign up for it. It doesn't matter what country you live in, doesn't matter where you come from. It's open to everybody. And although it's based in the United States and a lot of my team members are on the American side, I still have some Canadians that sign up as well. We all are going through the same thing. It doesn't matter. We're all people. We all have the same stupid cancer, and we're all undergoing the same type of treatments. I mean, some of you will experience different treatments. This is just the one that I was prescribed because, as I said on my opening remarks, I started off with indolent lymphoma based on a retroperitoneal mass, it was called, that I had. And again, I've brought this up in my other videos. The original one was radiated and got rid of it, and any other little cancers pretty much around it were just absorbed into the radiation. But this past year, as I alluded to in my other videos, I ended up having it by fluke. They found a large retroperitoneal mass, 6.1 centimeters, which I know isn't the biggest in the world. There are people out there that have had huge ones that are far bigger than that. But sadly, I also had lymph nodes in my neck, lymph nodes in my groin that were affected, all with cancer. And the biopsy I had came back with DLBCL. And as I said, diverse large B-cell lymphoma is what it stands for. And it's an aggressive lymphoma, but it is very manageable with RCHOP. So that's where we're going to leave RCHOP. I hope, again, that you get the information you need. Don't take what I say as medical advice, because I am not trying to make light of this. I'm not trying to give you medical advice. I'm just trying to give you an insight into one guy's journey with this. So what happens on Wednesday is infusion number 3. And then May 16th, I'm going in for another CT scan with contrast dye to let me know exactly what's happening inside. Are the tumors all shrunk? I'm feeling pretty confident that they are going to be, because I had a very large one right around this part of my neck here, which is my left side. And although there's still a small little bump, I can rub my finger across back and forth. It was gigantic when I started off on this journey. So I'm very happy that it's shrunk down considerably. So let's just leave this one here for today. And don't forget and stay tuned, because I am going to come up with some new updates as well. I know right now I don't have a viewership, and that's all right, because not everybody wants to hear about cancer. And I'm not going to make light of it or make it sound like it's a fun journey when it's not a fun journey at all. But again, I want to keep very positive outlook, positive spin on it, and let me know how you're doing, because if I can be a voice for you, or if you have something that you want me to cover off, I'll find out and we'll discuss it. So everybody, have an awesome rest of the day and keep smiling. This is Glen from Glens Hangout. Take care, everyone. Bye.